Welcome people to the very first video of the channel on biased facts of the world. In this, our inaugurational video, we are going to talk about very interesting subjects. In this case, the decline of the white population in America. Now before I get into it, I will make sure everyone gets real authentic facts. I will not be a racist nor biased. I am here to tell the truth. I just read an article published by Sputnik, a Russian news website, which makes echo of a study published by the University of New Hampshire, and it goes into detail and signals fewer births among the white people as the main cause of their decline. It also notices how immigration has as well been a factor of the decline of white population in America, which, until the demographic explosion that came after World War II with the so-called baby boomers generation, was the biggest ethnic composition of the American people. Now don't get me wrong, whites are still the largest ethnic group in the US, but according to the study, it won't be that way for much longer. In fact, many US states already have whites as minorities. They were surpassed by other ethnic groups, being the most important and fastest growing, the Latinos and the Asian Americans. These two ethnic groups are to be the largest in the US in the very near future. We are talking about just a couple of decades away. The US, as we all know it, is about to change drastically. The question arises, will the US descend into social and racial chaos as it nears a drastic change in its demographics? Or will social order and cohesion prevail even with changing populations? For many, it is really hard to conceive such a scenario. Most Americans were used to their usual and typical everyday life. Being among white people was normal for most Americans, even for the ones that are and were not white. Now, they all are facing newcomers, which differ both in their background and racial features. This trend, however, is not unique to the US. Europe is as well struggling with a declining white population, and like America, it faces immigration rates that far exceed the births of native Europeans. It might not be the immigrants' fault entirely, but the white people, both in the US and Europe, for not caring about having descendants and instead focusing more on drugs and other toxic practices. This, according to the study, is very noticeable. The task of bringing white populations to the respective place, which in Europe and the US means bringing and keeping white people as the largest demographic group, rests entirely on white people themselves. If you, my friend, are a white man or a white lady, it is your task, if you so desire, to plan on having and raising children of your own, in order to reverse the trend that will replace whites from being the dominant ethnic population in their very own countries to being a minority. There are countries like Japan, which is a non-white country, which have been for centuries almost ethnically homogeneous. Now Japan stands among one of the most developed and disciplined countries on earth. The people, while also aging really fast, don't have the social tensions that the US, for instance, does possess. It looks like only white people and only white people themselves are responsible for their very own future. It is up to the young white folks to choose between getting high or preserving the reality, one which their ancestors did pretty well.